Dear viewers, the show will begin in 2 minutes. The show will begin in 1 minute. The show is about to begin. Grab a drink, a snack, and please sit back, relax, and enjoy this show.
Please like and leave a comment, and share this video.
Welcome to live show 85, Decline's New Dawn, the fourth turning. Broadcasting you from Minsk, Belarus on this Sunday, October 6, 2024. Before we dive into tonight's content, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and share the video link across your social media. It really helps this channel grow. Tonight, we're exploring the concept of Decline's New Dawn and asking, is this the fourth turning? We'll also be covering the latest news from Belarus, examining the escalating situation in the Middle East, and breaking down the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Plus, we'll take a look at what's happening across the globe, and always wrap up things with our popular segment, You Don't See That in Belarus. Thanks for tuning in. Now let's get started.
Could be wrong. I could be right.
And welcome to what many are calling the climax of our generation's story, the cusp of a new era, or as Strauss and Howe might describe, the fourth turning. Imagine history as a play, with acts as a cycle through regeneration, awakening, entropy, and the grand perilous act, the crisis. That's where we stand today on the stage of the fourth turning, where societies face their darkest hours before the rebirth. According to their theory, history moves in recurring cycles, each lasting about 80 to 100 years. These cycles are divided into 4 phases called turnings, each lasting about 20 to 25 years. The fourth turning is the final phase of this cycle, a period of crisis, upheaval, and transformation that typically reshapes society and institutions. During the fourth turning, old structures and ways of thinking break down, often through conflict, economic collapse, or deep societal changes. It is the time of chaos, but also the opportunity where new leaders and new systems emerge to address the problems created during the previous turnings. The theory suggests that after this period of instability, a new order is established, leading to a renewal and a rebirth which begins a new cycle. Historically, previous fourth turnings include major crises like the American Revolution, the Civil War, and World War II, and according to Strauss and Howe, the world is currently in a fourth turning, where existing systems are under pressure and a major societal transformation could be on the horizon. So what does this mean for us in 2024? Look around. The world feels like it's on the edge. Political divides are not just debates, they're chasms. Social media, once a tool for connection, now amplifies division, each post a flare in the night of the sky of our collective psyche, signalling distress or defiance. We're witnessing a war on truth, where facts are obscured by the fog of misinformation, where the very concept of reality is under siege. This isn't just about political disagreements, it's about the erosion of trust, the very fabric that holds societies together. The institutions we once relied upon, government, media, and even our educational systems, are viewed with skepticism. Why? Because we're in a time where everything that was not built on a solid foundation of truth or moral integrity is beginning to crumble. The economic landscape. It feels like we're on the brink of something monumental. The financial cycles that have grown more pronounced with industrialization might be showing us that our current systems, built on debt and consumption, are unsustainable. We're just not facing our economic downturns, we're questioning the very capitalism that has been driven us. Then there's the spiritual and cultural shift. Traditional values, once a bedrock of communities, are being challenged or outright dismissed. We've entered an age where materialism and hedonism are celebrated, yet they leave a void, a hungry for something deeper, something that connects us beyond the material. This is the awakening part of the cycle, where we're forced to look inward, to redefine what truly matters. But here's the silver lining, the hope in every narrative, every fourth turning, every crisis leads to a rebirth. We're at the point where the old must burn down for the new to rise. This isn't a theory, it's a pattern seen through centuries of history, from the ashes of war and the economic collapse to new societies that are formed, often better, more resilient, and with a renewed sense of purpose. So what's our role in this turning? Is to prepare, to build resilience, to foster communities that can weather the storm. We're the architects of tomorrow, not just spectators. Engage in your community, seek truth, and hold on to values that transcend the turmoil of the moment. This fourth turning isn't about surviving the storm, it's about shaping what comes after. History's wheels turn and we're in the driver's seat for the next chapter. Let's make it one of rebirth, of wisdom, and of unity, not just survival. And I could be wrong, or I could be right.
Could be wrong. I could be right.
First up, let's get into some Belarusian news. Let's see what's happened since the last show. First up on tonight's show, we'll be covering a breaking story this week. Terrorist attacks planned for the end of 2023 were prevented in Minsk. Yes, right here. From this news report, the targeted locations for the alleged attacks included key areas in the city, such as the Holy Spirit Cathedral, BNTU, the railway station, and popular shopping centres like the Dana Mall and the Galleria. Also, other potential targets were Plazora, Zamok, and the Arena City shopping centres, all those we go to, and you've seen on our videos, as well as the underground passage between two metro stations. Initially, the unsuspect's plan involved shootings and bombings in the schools and kindergartens. Over time, his motivations grew more extreme, shifting from a hatred of people he knew to a desire to harm all people, which led him to expand his plans to target large public spaces. An investigation revealed that the homemade explosive device, crafted from materials found online, was fully assembled and ready for use. Let's watch this full report.
Show you one screenshot in which Minsk residents will be especially interested in the Holy Spirit's Cathedral near the railway station and Danal and Gallery shopping centers. As options, shopping centers Palazza, Castle and Arena City, as well as the transition from Kupalovskaya metro station to Oktyabrskaya. Below you see the plan for purchasing all components, including watch movements. As you have already understood, these are the places of alleged explosions in Minsk from one performer will happen. This was supposed to be in November and December last year. I won't tell you everything yet, but the young guy is withdrawn, aggressive, lived alone, has no friends, no hobbies, no work, mentally unstable. May 11th, 2021. In Kazan, Russia, a former student of one of the schools set up shooting and explosions there. 9 people died, 32 were injured. Our young terrorist's roof was blown off. Finally, a typical imitator appeared, living with the idea of repeating the original plans were shootings and explosions in schools and kindergartens. I won't give you their numbers, though I know them. But the guys came to the conclusion that he still hates not all his acquaintances of all people in principle, so he scaled the plan to places of mass accumulation of citizens. The examination established that the improvised explosive device, assembled from improvised means according to manuals on the internet, was actually ready for use. At the same time, the guy with the pedantry characteristic of certain mental illnesses described step by step what he would do and what was needed for this, at what exact time to leave the house, what to take with him, how to carry weapons, to shoot passers-by, and so on. This guy is now in a mental hospital because the roof there has fallen straight to the foundation. Why is this all about the fact that our enemies, whether radicals, fugitives, or terrorists from Ukraine or bad uncles from NAT, they understand perfectly well that an organized group in Belarus today will not be able to teach anything since it will be exposed at the stage of creation or transfer. That's why they're all looking for us at home. These are mentally unstable individuals in order to additionally pump them up with aggression somewhere and help them with advice or weapons, and offer them to commit the desired crime to their advantage. That is, if a shopping center explodes during rush hour in Minsk, because one guy went cuckoo, it will be presented to the media as a brilliant terrorist operation by Kiev, Washington, or what the hell. Identifying individuals is objectively difficult. The police, of course, will and are coping, but just in case, dear citizens, pay attention to suspicious people and report them. Please, this is categorically important.
In our last two shows, we had Roman Protasevich, the individual taken off the Ryanair aircraft that landed in Minsk after the Western orchestrated false flag bomb plot, discussing those involved in the 2020 attempted color revolution, planned and supported by the West. In fact, this week, Mike Pompeo stated that in a phone call that the CIA had been involved, and in his own words, unfortunately, it failed. Now, as we've seen, those who were part of this failed attempt that have been jailed are gradually being pardoned by President Lukashenko over time. For those who are currently outside Belarus but wish to return, the process involves writing to the Commission that reviews individual cases, asking to come back home. Tonight's report on ONT covers the latest updates on these pardons. Let's take a look.
There is a state that is ready to risk and trust the beggar to give him a chance. And there are those sitting there who are not enough to admit that the president is showing humanity because of political reasons. It is unprofitable to admit that it is not them. Such well-done people have achieved the release. It is unprofitable to miss the opportunity and continue to suck grants. Oh ho, how unprofitable. So begins the fairy tale that this is not the president, so he decided, they agreed there. That Milo is a convicted person. In order to recruit a pardon petition into the court, they write under duress. So it would be better if they stayed in prison. And in general, it doesn't matter. Today there are hundreds here, you think. It's funny how important every life is for our state and how not important any of them there. Their word is political. I'm a lawyer, and I'm also a Capricorn. In general, I like it when everything is clear and can be done. So ours has no political crimes, which means that we understand a Belarusian political prisoner no more than manipulation. Therefore, ignore their attempts to distort reality and simply observe your surroundings. Notice that all good things are evident and easily seen.
On these shows, you've probably heard me saying what a nice place Belarus is, and what you hear in the West, well, in one word, is bullshit. This video that we're about to see on Channel 1 in Belarus is two guys that came from the US. They said, "We were shocked." That's how the Blank brothers, who travelled from the US to Belarus, described their first impression, only having heard phrases like the last dictatorship in Europe, a very poor country, and a struggling economy. They were taken aback when they arrived and saw the reality of Belarus with their own eyes. Let's take a look.
100 in Belarus surprised you when you first arrived?
Previously there was negativity and less was very bad propaganda against Belarus. Of course you heard me. The phrase is the last dictatorship in Europe, and we heard, I am a very poor country and very poor economy, and when we were here we were high, very clean, we were visiting here and we were at us. we had a very good impression. We had very positive experiences here and were quite shocked as we explored, especially while walking down the avenue.
Winners.
Yes, despite the last dictator in Europe reputation, it's very beautiful. The avenue in the world in New York, we don't have an avenue, we were shocked, and after that we were in U on paper and a lot of big fiber. Prices are good and the city is very clean, public transportation was efficient. It's very important for us, and that's why we kept coming back. I think we visited 10, 20 times and then decided to live here permanently.
Geely or Jelly, however you pronounce it, has officially unveiled its new electric car, the E8, at the football arena. A standout feature of the interior is a massive 8K resolution screen, integrating the dashboard and two displays, one for the center console and one for the passenger. The base model comes with a single electric motor producing 272 horsepower, while the top tier version boasts dual motors with a total of output of 645 horsepower. This high performance variant can accelerate from 0 to 100 in just 3.49 seconds. The E8 has an impressive range of up to 620 kilometers on a single charge, and fast charging can restore 500 kilometers in just 15 minutes. Of course, this car will be produced and built at the production facility in Belarus, just outside Minsk. And the city's fountains have begun preparations for conservation, according to the Deputy General Director and Chief Engineer, Ruslan Kosovic. We're removing nozzles and pipelines, cleaning the fountain bowls, flushing the systems, and dismantling certain parts of storage for warm containers. There is no need for major reconstructions, only routine maintenance is required, he said. All planned repair work will be completed by December, with preparations for next season starting in early March. The fountains were turned off last Friday of September. And people from all across Belarus are visiting the execution pits in Mogilev, where the remains of civilians murdered by the Nazis are being exhumed. This spring, 7 more mass graves were uncovered in the forest, which was one of the bloodiest areas around Mogilev during the occupation. So far, 5 graves have been opened, and the search will continue through the end of October this month. Since August, thanks to an initiative by the Mogilev Regional Prosecutor's Office, the public has the opportunity for the first time to witness the recovery of genocide victims' remains. Belarusian President Lukashenko stated that if Polish troops enter western Ukraine, Belarusian forces will be prepared to respond. He also mentioned that once the conflict ends, Belarus is ready to assist rebuilding Ukraine, which, in his words, will no longer be interest to its current allies. Additionally, the head of the Russia's FSB, Alexander Botornekrov, warned that the US and its allies are attempting to expand the conflict zone into Belarus and Moldova. And this week, the Prime Minister of Azerbaijan was in Minsk to talk to President Lukashenko, and he also went to Victory Monument in Minsk and laid a wreath. Here in Belarus, there's something you don't see in the West. In Belarus, on average, there are 11 students per teacher in the cities and towns, and this figure is 13, and in rural areas it's only 6. In total, children in Belarus study in or at 2,872 general secondary education institutions, and the number of school children in them is 1.09 million. There is 1,410 such educational institutions in the cities and urban type settlements, with a number of students of 925.3 thousand of them. As most of the people know in the West, the student number per teacher is around 30 plus in most schools. Here's a rundown on the recent developments in the Lebanon-Israeli-Hezbollah conflict, military engagements. There's been intense exchanges of fire between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah has reported actions like ambushing Israeli forces attempting to enter Lebanon, detonating explosives, targeting Israeli troops, and firing numerous rockets into Israel. In response, Israel has conducted airstrikes across Lebanon, targeting what they described as Hezbollah infrastructure and operatives. This includes military actions in southern Lebanon and even strikes within Beirut, marking an escalation in the conflict. Let's watch this video of in Beirut.
نزل علينا الصاروخ شيله 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 قرب بجولة للصحفية الصبح رموا علينا صاروخ من الاستطلاع شيله الله أكبر الله أكبر.
The Israeli Air Force tried to eliminate the new leader and head of Hezbollah 2 nights ago in a series of strikes with penetrating aerial bombs that were carried out on one of the group's bunkers in Beirut. Let's have a look.
Whoa.
As you can see in this video coming up, a huge crater marks the site of the Israeli bunker buster bombs that hit the hideout of Nasrallah's successor as Hezbollah leader. Let's have a look at this. And Sky News Arabia reports that Israel may have killed Hezbollah's new leader in the attack on October 3rd, and now it's been confirmed that he has been killed by that strike. Casualties and damage. The conflict has led to deaths of hundreds, with many more injured. Israel's military operations have caused significant damage, displacing an estimated 1 million people in Lebanon. The strikes have hit residential areas, infrastructure, and have been described as some of the deadliest since 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah. Israel has been focusing on degrading Hezbollah's capabilities, with striking aimed at Hezbollah commanders and infrastructure. There's a mention of Israel attempting to change the balance of power in the region, indicating a broader strategic goal beyond immediate military engagements. The international reactions on the conflict has drawn international concern, with calls for de-escalation and ceasefires. Countries with international bodies are pushing for diplomatic solutions to prevent a wider regional war. However, skepticism about the success of these efforts persists due to ongoing hostilities. And what's our humanitarian impact? The conflict has forced significant evacuations from southern Lebanon, with Israel ordering civilians to move north to specific rivers, essentially out of the combat zones. However, the route for evacuation has been targeted, complicating civilian safety efforts. Sounds like what they did in Gaza. And here's some political statements. Leaders from both sides have made statements reflecting on the conflict's escalation. Hezbollah's actions have been in response to the broader Israel-Hamas conflict, aiming to pressure Israel from the north while facing significant military pressure themselves. And there's been cross-border attacks and responses. Beyond the immediate Hezbollah-Israeli frontier, there's been reports of attacks from other groups like the Houthis in Yemen, indicating a broader regional involvement or reaction to the conflict. The situation remains volatile, with continuous military actions, significant humanitarian concerns, and a backdrop of international diplomatic efforts to manage or end the hostilities. This summary captures a snapshot of the conflict's intensity and implications based on information up until the early hours of this morning. The Iranian missile strikes targeted 2 Israeli air bases the other day. Initially, reports indicated 32 missiles struck Nevatin Air Force Base, marked with these pins. However, 3 impact signs are obscured by cloud cover in the 50 centimeter sky-sat imagery and had to be verified using 3M Dove images, the white pins in this picture. And the Ovdar Air Base was also hit. This base, often used for arms and explosive exports, frequently sees Azerbaijani military cargo flights. Fighter jet shelters at the Ovdar were struck with pinpoint accuracy by Iranian missiles. Have a look at this. The Iranian strike on Israel's Nevatin and Tel Nof airfields, along with other targets on Tuesday, completely validates my earlier analysis from previous shows. Back in April, the Iranians demonstrated their ability to defeat Israel's ballistic missile defense system and strike precise targets. This time they caused significant damage. Footage from the engagement suggests that more than 80% of the Iranian missile salvos penetrated Israel's defences and struck their intended targets. There was little sign of any robust mid-course defence, and Israel's terminal phase interceptors were sporadic and largely ineffective. In fact, Israel's defence fire seemed notably lighter compared to April attack, likely due to two factors. First, the Iranians launched this strike with little warning, and Israel's heavy surface-to-air missile batteries were likely to reduce readiness. Second, following the April attack, Israel may have depleted much of its available ammunition defending against that assault. With missile resources being diverted to Ukraine and the slow pace of replenishing the stockpiles from Raytheon's factories, Israel may not have fully restocked by October 1st. The Iran strike damaged hangars, flight lines at Nevatin, and potentially other critical assets at Tel Nof, although images from the latter are still being withheld, presumably sanitized for being released. The attack likely impacted aircraft, infrastructure, SAM systems and air defense radars at both airfields, as well as other targets across Israel. Israel's response, or their lack of, speaks volumes about the effectiveness of the strike. Rather than launching an immediate counterattack, Israeli leaders have retreated into deliberations, with discussions focusing on a potential scaled-down retaliation against Hezbollah or the Houthis. This hesitancy is telling. Iran has demonstrated it can overwhelm Israel's air defense system and strike critical infrastructure at will. With Israel's missile shield compromised, its leadership now faces a harsh reality that their small, isolated nation is highly vulnerable. To add another layer of complexity, it's worth noting that the US Navy WASP amphibious Ready Group in the Mediterranean may have nearly depleted its stock of SM-3 interceptors during the strike. Reports suggest 12 rounds were fired, with no confirmed successful interceptions. The task force appears to have been overwhelmed by the sheer number of incoming missiles, as well as debris, booster fragments and possible decoys scattering in the missiles' wake. Given that the US Navy destroyer only carries a small number of these interceptors, typically 8 or fewer, and with Raytheon only manufacturing just 12 SM-3 rounds in 2023, this engagement could have cost the US taxpayer as much as $340 million if those were Block 11A interceptors. The high cost and limited supply underscores the challenges both Israel and its allies facing in defending such sustained missile threats. Let's watch this animated video on the missile attack.
Ballistic missiles strikes focus on key Israeli military sites such as Nevatim Air Base near Beersheba and Tel Nof Air Base, both of which house the billion-dollar Israeli F-35 fighter jets and other high-value assets. Additional targets included the Hatzerim Air Base in the Negev Desert and the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv. This is the Fatah hypersonic missile and the Shahab-3, and we'll look into the details why the Arrow missile failed to intercept the Iranian glide vehicles, all in the video ahead. The US traced the launch location to a valley south of the Iranian city of Shiraz. Iran has launched its largest ever attack on Israel, firing 180 ballistic missiles. These missiles traveled more than 1,000 miles from this valley to reach Israel's most populated city and military sites. Iran used variants of the Shahab-3 ballistic missile in its latest attack on Israel. The Shahab-3 is the foundation for all of Iran's medium-range ballistic missiles and uses liquid propellant. It can carry a warhead weighing between 760 and 1,200 kilograms, which translates to 1,675 and 2,645 pounds. How it works. Step 1. The missile is positioned at a 90-degree angle and then fired. Step 2. The ballistic missile's trajectory takes it outside or near the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Step 3. The warhead payload separates from the rocket that carried it aloft and re-enters the atmosphere, descending towards its target. Step 4. The missile can carry a single or multiple warheads, depending on the variant. The warhead separates from the single-stage rocket after it has traveled about more than half the distance to its target. The most prolific Scud variants had a circular error probable of 300 to 450 meters. This means that 50% of the missiles fired at a target would land within a circle of that diameter. This is the FATA-2, the successor to the FATA-1. It was used for the first time and is one of Iran's advanced missile systems. This missile is equipped with a hypersonic glide vehicle. Inside it is the warhead, which detaches and allows the missile to maneuver and glide at speeds between Mach 5 and 10. The missile has a range of around 1,500 kilometers, only slightly more than its predecessor, the FATA-1. What sets it apart from other ballistic missiles is its ability to accelerate outside the Earth's atmosphere, while its aerodynamic control surfaces enable steering to evade the famous Aero Missiles defense system made by Israel. But first, let's look at what is a hypersonic missile. Hypersonic missiles are a challenging technology to master because they are so fast that if the US launched a Scramjet missile, it could reach China in just 18 minutes, traveling at speeds of Mach 5 and above. These Scramjet engines collect oxygen from the atmosphere as they travel, mixing it with hydrogen fuel to create the combustion needed for hypersonic flight. Meanwhile, glide hypersonic vehicles like the Chinese Dongfeng 17 became the first to integrate into production with conventional and nuclear warheads. They are also designed to target US aircraft carriers, as they can change their trajectory mid-flight. This US Aero AGM hypersonic weapon is a missile within a missile which pops out its cover and uses only the glide vehicle kinetic energy as a weapon, and not to forget the Russian hypersonic missile like the Kinzhal. To qualify as a hypersonic missile, it must possess 3 key attributes: speed, maneuverability, and accuracy. Let's look at speed. As we all know, Mach 1 represents the speed of sound, which serves as our benchmark. To better understand this, let's make a few comparisons. Commercial airliners, for example, fly subsonically, just below Mach 1. In contrast, modern fighter jets can travel supersonically, reaching speeds of Mach 2 or 3. When we refer to hypersonic speeds, we're talking about anything Mach 5 and above. Space shuttles are an example of vehicles that travel hypersonically, often reaching speeds between Mach 20 and 24. But these can travel only for short distances at these speed. To sum it up, a hypersonic missile should cross Mach 25, which is around 19,000 miles per hour. But wait, that's not it. Hypersonic missiles should also have the capability of covering vast distances, such as from New York to Russia or from China to Texas and vice versa. Before we looked into how FATA missiles managed to penetrate Israeli air defense, we have to understand how Arrow 3 missile works. The Aero Missile Defense System consists of 3 basic parts: the missile launcher unit, the green pine radar antenna, and the Aero missile. The missile launcher unit is composed of 6 erector launcher tubes housing ready-to-fire missiles. Positioned at the rear of a 2-axle trailer, each launcher, when fully loaded with 6 launch tubes carrying ready-to-fire missiles, weighs 35 tons. The green pine radar serves as the warning and fire control radar for the Arrow 3 anti-ballistic air defense missile system. It plays a crucial role in target detection and guidance. The Arrow operates as a 2-stage missile. Let's look inside this engineering technology. This is the solid propellant booster and sustainer rocket motors. At the rocket's peak sits the ignition chamber, triggering the combustion of the solid propellant when activated. This propellant isn't just any substance. It's a meticulously crafted blend of fuel and oxidizer poured into a casing and then cured. Encasing this blend is a protective shell called the motor case. At the core of the rocket lies the propellant burning zone. Here, the solid fuel and oxidizer react, producing incredibly high-temperature combustion gases, which helps to launch the rocket at incredible speed above the Earth's surface. Moving further to the front, the most important part of the missile is the kill vehicle, which can be divided into 3 basic parts. The second stage is the propulsion system with a thrust vectoring nozzle. Just above it is the warhead, a directed high-explosive fragmentation weighing 150 kilograms, which translates to 330 pounds. The third stage is the seeker, capable of pivoting itself to track its target. But what's the big deal about this long-range anti-ballistic missile system? Let's start with the propulsion system. The famous THAAD, Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, uses a divert attitude control thrusters. In comparison to the Arrow 3 kill vehicle, which utilizes a thrust vectoring nozzle with a solid fuel rocket, it has a shorter and more limited burn time. It has a few advantages, one of them being the ability to compensate for a lack of radar accuracy. When the radar sends the interceptor to an inaccurate target location, the Arrow 3 kill vehicle can adjust its trajectory. Since intercontinental ballistic missiles travel at very high speeds, the kill vehicle must change its trajectory based on newer, more accurate radar data from its seeker. A failure to fully divert the course to the new target would result in a failure to intercept. Now let's take a look how the Israeli defense system works. The Israeli defense system consists of 3 tiers. First up is the long-range Arrow missile defense system, which was designed specifically with Iranian missiles in mind. Each of these system rockets costs a few $1,000,000, and they can intercept missiles outside the Earth's atmosphere, resulting in enhanced protection. The second layer of defense is the so-called David Sling system, designed for taking out missiles and drones. Finally, the Iron Dome stops most short-range rocket attacks in Israel. Let's take a look at why the Iron Dome failed to intercept the Iranian ballistic missiles. Apart from discussing the multi-layered missile defense system, the Iron Dome itself has a range of around 40 miles, while the David Sling can intercept ballistic missiles up to a range of 180 miles. The top-tier Arrow anti-ballistic missile systems can target threats up to 1,500 miles away. According to reports, 180 ballistic missiles, which are possibly hypersonic as claimed by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, were launched. Although the Arrow missile defense system successfully intercepted many missiles before they reached Israel, many still got through. The main problem behind the failure to intercept was after the detachment of the glide vehicle from the launcher. The glide vehicle can change its trajectory multiple times, which confused the Arrow missiles. This maneuver also bypassed the David Sling and finally the Iron Dome system, which is not designed to counter hypersonic missiles like the Fatah II model. As a result, the interceptor missed for targets and the glide vehicle landed on military bases where the $100 million F-35 jets were stationed. Let's examine the cost implications of a single day of missile attacks. Iran expended over $200 million by launching ballistic missiles along with drones, whereas the IDF spent $1 billion to defend itself. This includes the Arrow missile, which costs around $2.5 million. The David Sling costs around $1 million to produce, while the Iron Dome costs around $20,000 to $100,000 for a single missile, depending on inflation. By contrast, Iranian ballistic missiles cost around $200,000 each, and its drones only $20,000 to $50,000 each.
During this missile strike, Iran destroyed one of the world's most expensive radar worth $500 million near Navatine Base in Operation True Promise 2, which shocked the Americans. This radar can detect small birds up to 5 centimeters, this one here. Iran is ready for a major war. After the missile strikes on Israel, Iran sent a message to the United States that it will no longer show unilateral restraint. Tehran fears that Israel will strike Iranian oil facilities. A resource that tracks the movement of oil tankers around the world reports that Iran has withdrawn all oil tankers from the Karg island in the Persian Gulf, which serves as the region's largest oil terminal. Israel is not only attacking Gaza, Lebanon, but also Syria. Israeli airstrikes have continued to hit Syria for several consecutive days, with the latest attack occurring Thursday morning on the outskirts of Damascus in the western governorate near Lebanon. Syrian state media reports that anti-air defense missiles are engaging hostile targets. However, it was a significant overnight strike on Syria's coast that brought Israel closer ever to potential confrontation with Russian forces. Israeli drones and warplanes reportedly targeted sites in the coastal city of Jabalia before dawn, including the weapons depot that was destroyed. Crucially, the depot was located near the airbase, Russia's largest airbase in Syria. And a clarification on this strike. Israeli targeted a weapons storage facility in Syria, not on the Russian airbase. Here's how the situation works. Israel regularly targets Syrian airports to prevent Iranian planes from landing. In response, Russia has allowed Iran to use the airbase, providing a way for Iranian planes to avoid Israeli strikes. Iran uses this route to deliver supplies to Hezbollah via the Russian airbase. The deliveries are stored near the Russian base, but outside its perimeter on Syrian territory. It was this storage facility that was hit and as I understand it, was not the Russian base itself. Here's a video. Footage released by Lebanese media shows Israeli airstrikes last night and columns of Lebanese refugees leave the country heading north towards Turkey and Europe. If you think voting for Trump will stop wars, he's just called for Israel to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. Trump said, "I was listening to Biden yesterday, and he usually answers half a question. He can't answer the whole question." He was asked what he thinks about Iran, and he said, "As long as they don't hit the nuclear things." And these are the things you want to hit, he said. He's wrong. Isn't that where we should hit? We need to be fully prepared, and when he was asked this, the answer should have been, first hit the nuclear facilities, we'll worry about the rest later. That's a good way to have the world economy collapse due to Iran then hitting all the oil production facilities in the Middle East, driving the price up to $200+ a barrel. Trump thinks the same about Russia. This is exactly how he promised to establish peace by force. Let's watch him and listen to him now.
Biden yesterday, but he only takes like a half a question, usually can't answer it. But they asked him, what do you think about Iran? Would you hit Iran? And he goes, as long as they don't hit the nuclear stuff. That's the thing you want to hit, right? I said, I think he's got that one wrong. Isn't that what you're supposed to hit? We have to be totally prepared. We have to be absolutely prepared. But when they asked him that question, the answer should have been, hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And that's what they should. If they're going to do it.
According to Israel's Channel 14, Jordan has been warned that Israel will attack Iran in the coming hours. The Washington Post states that as of today, the 6th of October, Israel will strike Iran within the next 48 hours. American troops stationed in the Middle East have been ordered to go on high alert and, if necessary, take immediate cover. We'll do an emergency stream if this happens. Stay tuned. At a meeting in Doha, representatives of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain and Kuwait assured Iran of their complete neutrality in an ongoing conflict, stating that they will not permit the US to use their air bases for operations against Iran, according to a report from Reuters. The Saudi Arabian foreign minister made a notable statement today saying, "We are ready to put all our past differences with Iran behind us and pursue a path of lasting and sincere friendship." Meanwhile, Bloomberg reports that the US and Israel are discussing potential strikes on Iran's oil infrastructure in the Persian Gulf. Foreign Policy's Matthew KROENIG argues for an immediate military strike on Iran's nuclear program, highlighting a strategic moment where Iran's allies, like Hamas and Hezbollah, are weakened, and there's no new nuclear deal in sight. He suggests that with Iran's nuclear breakout time in 1 or 2 weeks, acting now could prevent Iran from securing the necessary materials for a nuclear weapon in a more secure locations. Despite previous concerns about retaliation, recent events have shown that such fears might be overblown. However, ALANA PANINA from the Institute of International Strategic Studies cautions against underestimating Iran, drawing parallels with Western miscalculations regarding Russia. She points out that the resilience of nations like Russia under sanctions, suggesting that Iran might similarly surprise observers if its capabilities, including possible already possessing nuclear weapons, are underestimated. This perspective underscores the risks of acting on incomplete intelligence or assumptions about an adversary's limitations. The US Pentagon has announced that it will need to spend or allocate $1.2 billion to replenish its arms stockpile following the recent attacks by the Iran and Houthis. Just imagine if that was spent on the USA instead. The aftermath of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina has sparked a significant backlash against foreign aid, especially towards Ukraine. Social media platforms are buzzing with frustration from residents and observers who point out that while North Carolina faces one of the worst natural disasters with massive power outages and infrastructure damage, there's a perceived prioritization of aid over Ukraine over domestic needs. There's a growing narrative, echoed by many, that the US has funneled too much money into Ukraine at the expense of its own citizens. The timing of the aid, especially with the immediate needs in North Carolina, has led to vocal segment of the population questioning the wisdom and ethics of such allocations. This sentiment isn't just about the immediate aid for disaster recovery, but reflects a broader discontent with many what see as an endless stream of funding abroad while domestic issues remain critically underfunded. Politicians and public figures have capitalized on this sentiment, with some openly criticizing the aid to Ukraine as misguided, suggesting that the focus should be on America's internal needs first. The argument goes that while residents of North Carolina are left without power, potentially for months, due to lack of available transformers, the US government continued to send resources overseas. And in fact, it sent all the spare power transformers to Ukraine earlier. The debate isn't just economic but moral. Citizens are asking why their tax dollars, meant for ensuring domestic security and welfare, are being used in foreign conflicts while they suffer at home. This has led to a call of a re-evaluation of foreign policy, focusing on what's seen as more immediate and pressing, the welfare of American citizens. Despite the public outcry, the government's approach to aid distribution has been criticized for lacking transparency and prioritization, while there's this talk of special sessions and supplemental aid requests for natural disaster relief. The narrative on social media and among some political figures remains skeptical, questioning if these actions are mere gestures rather than substantive shifts in policy. And as you can see from this, the transformers were sent to Ukraine, and now North Carolina hasn't got any. Over in Europe, Eva VLAARDINGERBROEK, I probably butchered that again, on the new NATO Secretary General. She said, "Our former Prime Minister Mark Rutte is the very one who single-handedly ruined the Netherlands by flooding it with migrants, crippling the economy and persecuting farmers. Now has been appointed NATO Secretary General. As we warned, Rutte essentially brought this way into the position. He poured billions of our taxpayer euros into Ukraine and cozy up to Zelensky at every opportunity. And now, even before officially assuming the role, he's already pushing for Ukraine to join NATO. After destroying his own country, he seems set on dragging all of Europe into World War III. Let's listen to her."
Mark Rutte, our former Prime Minister of over 10 years, who single-handedly ruined the country by flooding it with immigrants, destroying our economy, and the same guy who came after our farmers, he just got appointed as the Secretary General of NATO. And of course, we have been warning about this for a long time because Mark Rutte essentially bought his position into NATO. He was spending billions and billions of euros, our taxpayers' euros, on Ukraine, was seen constantly hugging with Zelensky, and now just a few months after he's no longer the Prime Minister, he has been appointed Secretary General of NATO. This man has not even been in office one day, and he already said that Ukraine should be part of NATO.
Because Ukraine's rightful place is in NATO.
So after ruining our entire country, he is now dead set on dragging all of you guys into World War III and just ruining it for everyone.
In a recent interview, French President Emmanuel Macron stated, "I think we need to be clear about our situation. Europe is no longer the top priority for the US. The US's top priority is itself, which is both normal and fair. Their second priority is China, and everything else depends on the moment. Regarding Ukraine, they have been extremely loyal and reliable partners. Will this continue? I don't know. Let's watch him."
I think we have to be lucid on our situation. Europe is no more the top priority of the US. The US top priority is US, which is normal and fair. The second top priority is China. And for the rest, it depends on the moment. They are super loyal and reliable partner on Ukraine. Will it last? I don't know.
This couple who fled the war in Ukraine has decided to move back there to a war area rather than living in Nottingham in the UK. That's how bad the UK has got. And in the UK they did a public poll, if you can believe it. It said that the key to tackling climate change, almost 40% of the public would agree to World War II style rationing of meat and fuel to slash their carbon emissions. Do you honestly believe that? And the UK government has pledged nearly £22 billion to incentives focusing on capturing and storing carbon emissions from energy, industry and hydrogen production. It's an outrageous, massive waste of taxpayer money when that money could be spent in the UK on better things. And the UK has completely lost its way. They're creating a new kind of woke STASI, encouraging you to report your friends, family and neighbours for expressing anti-mass immigration views. This video, which we'll watch now, is taken from a council training module.
Let's get started. This is Mr. J, a young man of 17. He lives with his parents in the county of Hogshire. He is known to his local nature reserve staff, as he often uses the bird hides and public viewing areas there. He is quiet and withdrawn and very rarely speaks to staff, but is polite when he does so. He is known to attend the local college and has taken part in organised activities at the nature reserve as part of his college course. Nature reserve staff become concerned after noticing the content of some leaflets which have been left in the viewing hides on the reserve. These contain anti-immigration views and argue that British tradition and identity is under threat from multiculturalism and that Islam is fundamentally opposed to British values.
He's right.
Staff also find stickers on litter bins in the reserve. These contain similar slogans and statements to the leaflets.
What's the calendar for?
A review of CCTV cameras shows that it is Mr. J who has placed the stickers and leaflets in the reserve. When questioned, he admits his actions, but is defensive and uncooperative. Staff at the nature reserve are concerned with the content of what Mr. J is distributing and believe he may be vulnerable and or susceptible to being radicalised. They make a prevent referral and they include images of the stickers and leaflets. Once assessed, it is decided that channel support is appropriate. A counter-terrorism case police officer is assigned and visits the family along with a social worker from Children's Services. Mr. J admits that he has been spending more and more time online looking at discussion forums. He explains that, at first, he just discussed history and fantasy computer games with other users, but he was then encouraged to visit other sites which shared anti-immigration, anti-Islam and anti-Semitic and far-right views and conspiracy theories. He says that he's been feeling very lonely, depressed and directionless at college, but he feels like he has friends and a shared purpose amongst some of the users on these forums.
Over in the US at the United Nations, Russia's permanent representative, speaking at the United Nations Security Council meeting on Nord Stream terrorist attack, stated, "Colleagues, if you believe that your obstructionist actions will deter us or diminish our resolve to identify and punish those responsible for the bombing of the Nord Stream, you are gravely mistaken. Each of your cunning maneuvers to hinder the Security Council's work on this issue only strengthens our determination to uncover the truth. It also reinforces our belief that we are on the right track, and that you indeed have something to hide. Furthermore, it is becoming increasingly clear that without revealing the truth behind the Nord Stream terrorist attack, the world cannot return to constructive global cooperation, something the global south is especially eager for. There cannot be a scenario in which one part of the world, which arrogantly considers itself a beautiful garden, escapes fair and deserved punishment. Make no mistake, we are resolute, and you will not emerge unscathed from the murky waters of the Baltic Sea. Let's watch him.
If you think that your abstractionist actions discourage us and reduce our determination to identify and punish those responsible for undermining Nord Streams, then you are very mistaken. Each new cunning maneuver you make to obstruct the work of the Security Council on this topic only strengthens our determination to achieve the truth and our conviction that we are on the right path. Do you really have something to hide? Moreover, it is becoming increasingly obvious that without establishing the truth about the terrorist attack against Nord Streams, our world will simply not be able to return to any kind of constructive interaction between global players in which the countries of the global south are so interested. There can be no situation in which one part of our planet that arrogantly imagines itself to be part of a beautiful garden is immune from just and deserved punishment. We want you to grasp this vividly and not entertain any illusions that you can emerge unscathed from the murky depths of the Baltic Sea.
Of course, it was Finland's choice to cut the border off from Russia, and a Finnish journalist has revealed what the Russian-Finnish border looks like today. The once bustling streets and cafes of the Finnish border towns, where life thrived before the borders closed, now stand empty. Let's have a look at some videos. I remember going here once and it was just absolutely packed with cars from Russian tourists. Now reports are that businesses are closed, gone bankrupt. The whole area along the border is just devastated by these closures and sanctions. Finnish government idiots. These used to be packed with people. In our latest update on the Diddy case, the author of Kim Porter's book, which we mentioned in a show or two ago, has dropped a bombshell claiming that Diddy's tapes could bring down Hollywood and the entire entertainment industry. They revealed that some of these tapes were secretly flown out of the country on a private jet, while many others still exist, containing 30 years worth of explosive recordings. Let's watch and listen to the author.
There's a claim that Kim Porter kept copies of Diddy's alleged sex tapes as leverage. What evidence do you have to support this narrative?
The tapes.
So you actually have tapes?
I'm not going to do fully comment. Let's just say there's tapes that exist, yeah.
Well, let's ponder around that. There's the investigators in the case that is now filed.
Yes.
Right? Say that they were in possession of tapes. They can actually confirm that there are tapes,
sure,
as well as baby oil, as well as all of the other things that they found.
Yeah.
And so with that, we do know from that perspective that the DA involved in the case that Diddy is now facing.
The federal government.
Yes, the DA and the federal government have tapes.
Attorney General.
And so my question is, there's a claim that Porter kept copies of, and this is in your book,
yes,
that she kept copies of Diddy's alleged tapes as leverage, right? And in making that, it would be assumed that you would, or the possession of those tapes, you've seen them, you have them, you know about them. And like I said, what evidence do you have to support the narrative?
Yes, there are tapes that exist.
Okay. The book alleges that Diddy kept a vault of tapes documenting his alleged sexual encounters. Was there any hard evidence that such a vault existed?
The sources say there was a vault that existed, yes, and some of the tapes were flown out of the country on a private jet. That's from the sources directly, so I have to believe them. If she's angry, if she was abused, if she's fighting back, because we know through, and I'm going to reveal some of these other things that are on the drive that discuss why she was doing it and when, okay?
So you didn't, these are other things that you didn't include and why did you keep that out?
Correct, because I can't reveal everything at once. It's too shocking. If I was to release those tapes, the world would shut down, okay? If I showed one of these tapes, I'm telling you right now, the whole music industry and Hollywood, it would just grind down like this. They're all going to start pointing at each other like this, and it's going to be bad. We've already set it up. We have multiple attorneys. We know how to do it. It's not my first rodeo. I solved the greatest murder case in history, 3 of them. I know how to do it. We're going to do it, but just going to come in pieces. And there's also ways we can, let's say, not censor it, but we can kind of soften it, right? Like the whole tape doesn't have to come out. I don't have all the tapes. There's other people that have the tapes. I can't control them. We already know they're shopping in Hollywood. We have proof of other people telling us. We actually didn't have that one they showed. So there's multiple out there. Remember, this has been going on for 30 years. So I'm not the only one who has them. I think I have specific ones that no one has. But so, yeah, it's gonna be extremely shocking. We've got to be really just kind of one step at a time.
But you can confirm nor deny that what you claim to have, that no one else has, correct?
I would say this, let's say there's 10 tapes, right?
So this is hypothetical.
Yeah. Hypothetically, there's 10 tapes. There's a couple of those that no one has, but the flash drive has. I can pretty much guarantee.
And how can you?
Because if anybody has those, they're going to go to jail. If they release what I believe they think they have or they want to release, they will most likely go to jail. That's why we're working with the federal government. We're working with the federal government.
Oh, you're currently working with the federal government?
Well, not like what you're saying.
No. I want to be clear. I don't want to make any.
We're going to give them to the federal government.
Oh, so you're going to give the tapes to the federal government?
Yes.
Okay.
Piers Morgan in the UK talked to one of the people involved in the industry. Let's listen to her.
He's got everybody on tape. They all know it.
For those who were never at these freak-off parties, what were they like?
See, this is the thing. Everything that I'm about to say to you is not my first-hand knowledge. It is my first-hand witness account experience. I was a sex worker. I was a dominatrix before I got my record deal. That's how I know how the dark world and the sex world and the entertainment world run hand in hand. That's why the movie Blink Twice is so important. Salute to Zoe Kravitz. The sex workers that I have worked with throughout the years and continue to work with even to this day have worn hidden cameras. I have my own tapes. I've seen what they do. The ritualistic behaviors, the drugging, putting girls in the suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. It's horrifying. And it's all done under the protection of this is going to be paid off. There's another NDA. This is going to be, it's terrible.
It seems to have been something that a lot of people knew about, but people were simply too scared to talk about.
Everyone knows. And every person that's sitting there trying to act surprised knows very well. The whole point of this, like Cat Williams said when he sat with Shay Shay earlier this year, the whole point of this is for them in a coordinated effort to pretend like none of it is real for the public's perception. But everyone knows what's going on, and it's been going on for years. It's been going on before Diddy. See, people keep looking at him like he's the Sputnik that came out of nowhere. This is someone who was designed to be what he is. We got to stop making Diddies. And if we're going to do that, then we got to go back. We got to go back to even further, the mentors of these people. Because Diddy was taught how to do what he does systematically, and Clyde Davis has been his greatest teacher.
Well, speaking of hidden cameras, like in the Diddy case, what about secret cameras in glasses, like the new ones from Facebook? You can bet these will be misused. This kind of technology should be banned in public spaces. What do you think? Leave a message in the comments. A new app has raised concerns about Mark Zuckerberg's Meta smart glasses could be used for child traffickers and other nefarious uses. With facial recognition technology, these glasses could scan anyone on the street and instantly access personal details like home addresses. This could allow traffickers to track children in public places, monitor their movements, and plan abductions with terrifying precision. Pedophiles and traffickers could follow their targets unnoticed, giving them unprecedented access. And beyond that, anyone could use this tech to gather personal information for social engineering or any other harmful purposes. Is anyone really surprised that Zuckerberg is opening the door to such a dangerous misuse? Let's watch this.
We built glasses that let you identify anybody on the street. The information our tool collects from just a photo of your face is staggering.
I'm scared! Oh my god. Wait.
To use it, you just put the glasses on, then as you walk by people, the glasses will detect when somebody's face is in frame. This photo is used to analyze them, and after a few seconds, their personal information pops up on your phone.
Right? Oh, this is me volunteering.
June Lee, right?
Yeah. Oh my god.
This
photo was great. This is like from
You're from Bergen County Academies?
Yeah.
Your Korean name is Ju Yoon?
Cambridge Community Foundation. Oh, hi, ma'am. Wait, are you Betsy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I met you through like the Cambridge Community Foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great to meet you. I'm Kane.
Oh wait. Oh, so do you happen to be the person working on like minority stuff for like Muslims in India at all or something?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Are you Kashif?
Yes.
Oh, I've read your work before. It's super cool. I'm Anfu. Nice to meet you. Oh, I love.
Anfu, get in frame.
Oh, okay. But are you Sarah Chan?
No.
So here's how it works. We stream the video from the glasses straight to Instagram and have a computer program monitor the stream. We use AI to detect when we're looking at someone's face. Then we scour the internet to find more pictures of that person. Finally, we use data sources like online articles and voter registration databases to figure out their name, phone number, home address, and relatives' names. And it's all fed back to an app we wrote on our phone.
Using our glasses, we were able to identify dozens of people, including Harvard students, without them ever even knowing. Here's some of our favorites.
My aunt was Secretary of Transportation. That was like when she was getting.
Wait, what's her aunt's name?
LA Chow.
Yeah, okay.
Is your address 4 Valley?
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia, 303.
Oh my god. Yes. Not anything, but yes.
Also attended Yale's Young Global Scholar Summer Program, right?
Really?
Yeah, these are me in like middle school.
Oh my god. What about John and Susan? Are they your
Those are my parents.
parents? Okay, cool.
With less and less privacy, the Democrats in the US are still at it with their calls for censorship. This is Hillary Clinton calling for mass censorship of the American citizens, or we'll lose total control, she says. Let's watch her, unfortunately.
Should be, in my view, repealing something called Section 230, which gave, platforms on the internet immunity because they were thought to be just pass-throughs, that they shouldn't be judged for the content that is posted. But we now know that that was an overly simple view, that if the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
This comes not long after John Kerry stating the First Amendment in the US Constitution needs to be changed to fight what he calls disinformation. Seems these Democrats aren't very democratic, are they? And now some space news. According to scientists, COVID-19 has now affected the moon. So friends, I don't want you to cause a panic about solar flares and coronal mass ejections, but we're taking a massive unnecessary risk as our species. Our vulnerability to these events is in no one's interest. While we can't eliminate the risk entirely, we can significantly reduce it, and for a relatively low cost. By the time the sun hurls a civilization-ending kill shot our way, it'll be too late. We'll have a couple of days' warning at most. If you think climate change is the bigger priority, then you haven't fully understood the issue. I suspect that we'll get through this sunspot cycle without a major incident, but the Earth's magnetic field is weakening, and when our next peak occurs in about a decade, we could be in serious trouble. Perhaps we'll get lucky, and the real threat will come closer to 2046. However, the next 3 days are critical. There's an active sunspot currently aimed right at Earth, and it has already released 2 massive flares with CMEs in quick succession. The fact that we're not prepared is a shocking failure from systems that claim to care about public safety. Here's a hint, they're not being honest. We need competent leadership, consulting, and the right experts of this issue. Do you have an emotional support animal, an ESA, that's changed your life? Or are you curious about how ESAs help people with mental health and emotional well-being? Well, there's a new show coming up. Tune in to the ESA, or Emotional Support Animal Show, live, where real people share their powerful stories and experiences with their ESAs. From heartwarming moments to overcoming daily challenges, they will explore how these incredible animals provide comfort, care, and unconditional love. And what to expect: heartfelt stories from ESA handlers, expert insights on the benefits of ESAs, positive and challenging experiences, tips for living and caring for an ESA. Whether you're an ESA handler or someone who wants to learn more, ESA Emotional Support Animal Live show is the show for you. Join them when they celebrate the special bond between humans and their emotional support animals, coming up. The description or the address of the YouTube channel just below me here. And I will be helping on this new show. I'll be helping co-hosting it with another lady, and we'll see how that goes. So hopefully you can tune in. Please go to that link and subscribe now. We need at least many subscribers to actually stream live. Also, if you've got your own or you want to do your own show, contact us. We can do that remotely. You can stay at home on a camera and a microphone, and we can control everything from the back end. And for a small fee, we can stream to all your social media. That's Facebook, X, Rumble, YouTube, TikTok, and many others. I think it's about 25 we can stream to. So if you want to do that, contact us today. And have you seen this in Canada? A massive fire has destroyed the historic Notre Dame des Sept Agréés church in Canada. Since 2021, more than 100 churches across Canada have been burned or vandalized. This is also happening in Europe, especially in France. Do you think there's a war on Christianity going on, and do you think there's one set of people that are doing this? Leave a comment. Also, over 1,300 churches in the United States are destroyed by fire each year, with arson being the prime cause. This doesn't happen to synagogues or mosques. Tonight we'll start in the UK, and this is in Luton at a store that's having a sale. although it doesn't look like the UK, as you will tell. Still in the UK, this guy's out for a burger, and this happens. Here we have some UK fashion. Not to be outdone in the fashion, over in France and Paris, we have this. Back across the channel and over in Ireland, it seems the local kids are not safe from the future scientists and doctors. I always notice these people fight in packs. In Europe, more future scientists and engineers, children fighting. You notice they never fight on one ever. In Spain, more of them fighting with machetes. Now over to the US. In a petrol station, the guy behind the counter has had enough.
That's why I said be a man, nigga. Get out this bitch. Come on. Stop talking. Stop talking, dumbass. Hold up. You said Paul. Come on, we can get this whole stuff came in right now. On God. On God. It be your last day working, living in this bitch on God. Everything I love. Come on. Come on. Actually, you talk crazy, we can go outside. Nigga, you ready to do whatever outside. Y'all know what? Just let you know I'm ready to do whatever outside. Word to my mom, he won't step outside and do it. He right. I'm going on. He right. And she reported to him. She reported to him. Tell you what, nigga. Trick. License up your head. Come on. Stop fucking. Come on. What y'all want to do? What's up?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the fuck? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Doing all that fuck talk, don't do well with Chris. Fuck niggas. I got 3 kids. Sir, take clothes. Everybody out.
In the US, this guy, I think, identifies as a snake. Still in the US in LA, these girls seem to be hanging around for something. What do you think? And finally, in Dubai, the UAE, this is a kids' party. Well, called a kids' Ferrari party. Have a look at this. And you don't see any of that in Belarus. Thank goodness for that. And that is the end of live show 85, Decline's New Dawn, The Fourth Turning. A reminder, this book is very good and is highly recommended. And if you want to know what is happening now and how to take advantage of it for the next turning, pick up a copy. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you can hit that thumbs up, it'd be great. Also, please share the video near and wide on your social media to help this channel grow. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Hope you liked tonight's live show. We'll be back on Wednesday with a guest, so I hope you'll come back to see that. Also want to share some exciting news. We're upgrading our computer systems and adding a second studio, which will be used by some new clients starting next week. Plus, at the end of this month, we're moving to a larger space that will give us more flexibility to create even better shows for you. One of our first upcoming shows for another organization is the Emotional Support Animals Show, launching right here in a week. And I'll be co-hosting alongside others as we dive into the topics of ESAs in the UK, EU and the USA. Be sure to stay tuned for that. And if you can, subscribe to their channel. Details are on the screen now. And we've got some more exciting news lined up for various organizations and businesses over the next few weeks. And if you're interested in being a guest on the show, or if you want to create your own show, just send us an email. The address is on the screen now. We'd love to help you and make it happen. Thanks again, and see you on the next show.
I see that it's wrong. It's wrong because it's like against society.